Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing something that I've never done before. I'm very excited because there are a lot of new changes to this channel coming. I am kind of relaunching and revamping my style of video and content that will be posted here on my channel. A lot of things are changing, and today is kind of the stepping stone into those changes. So today is all about those channel changes along with some heavier topics such as anxiety and depression. So if you are sensitive to those things, just a disclaimer, we will be talking about my anxiety and my depression, my diagnosis, and the steps that I've taken to kind of heal, what I've learned, and all of those. It's not to glamorize the topic at all. It's actually just to talk about it and to allow people to know that people who seemingly have it all together and okay, not that I claim to have those things, that you're not alone, that those disorders, diagnoses can look different to everybody. I wasn't seeing a lot of people that I could relate to, so I wanted to be able to kind of put more emphasis on what it can look like for certain people, because I might not be, my symptoms, my behaviors, my reactions, my triggers, my traumas, my things, my anxiety, my depression might not match up to what yours is, but you might have one thing that like, oh yeah, I do the same thing. So with that disclaimer being said, let's jump on into this video. I will also be listing all of the products that I'm using down below because I am getting ready. So I'm going to try to talk and do my makeup at the same time. If you are interested in seeing this video and other videos from me, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. I'm so excited for the changes that I'm about to make, and I'm very, very excited to have you guys along with me for the ride, and whoever joins. And you know, if you get something out of these videos, that's perfect. And I'll explain a little bit more the channel changes. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment down below what you thought. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. Today I do have some coffee. I am drinking decaffeinated beverages from now on. I've learned that is actually something that triggers my anxiety a lot more, is caffeine. So month of January, I completely cut out caffeine. It was wonderful. And then in the last few weeks, I've been slowly drinking more, and I've been way more anxious than ever. So I was like, you know what? I think caffeine doesn't help, and I think we're going to cut back. And this mug just says you're doing great. And I love that. And I thought it fit the theme of today's mental health topic video. The great thing about decaffeinated coffee and beverages is like I can have coffee all day long, and it's marvelous because it won't affect me. Starting off with the channel changes. So I typically upload on Mondays at 7 a.m. That was my schedule that I used to have a few years ago. And I loved it. It worked really well for me. It was something that I enjoyed. I would schedule my videos to go live at 7 a.m. on Mondays, Eastern Standard Time. The other thing I want to do is I will be uploading 2 videos per month. Every other week, you'll be getting a brand new video from me. I'm very excited for this because I have implemented a new strategy for content creation, content planning, uploading, filming, editing. It's very similar to how I did it a few years ago. And I loved that routine. I loved that schedule. It worked really well for me. And back then, my schedule was crazier. I had my own place. I had my own responsibilities, full-time job. I still have some of those things, but I definitely don't run a household anymore. So that is something that I am very excited about. 2 videos per month on Mondays at 7 a.m. Content itself is changing. I wanted to change my content for multiple reasons. What I was watching was beginning to change. What I was interested in was beginning to change, and I am changing. I am not just all about makeup. I have never done just all about makeup and beauty. I love vlogs. I love story times. I love cooking. I love beauty. There's many different sides to myself, and I really wanted to start incorporating that. And I tried to do that a few different times, and it just wasn't working out. I wasn't completely sold on it. I did some new styles of videos and I really liked them, but nothing stuck. So anyway, long story short, I decided, you know what? We're going to have themed content. So there are different categories pretty much that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be posting mental health type videos. So like this one, an insight into my mental health journey, things that I've learned, things that are good and bad for me, things that are triggering, things that I've learned in therapy, things that I've learned about myself, and things that affect my day-to-day. Next one is cooking. I freaking love to cook, you guys. I actually am cooking dinner tonight. I usually try to cook on the weekends. It's just something that I really, really enjoy. It helps mellow me and bring me back down to earth. It's another creative outlet for myself, and it's just something I really, really enjoy. I still love beauty. Here I am getting ready. I still love beauty. I love makeup. I love talking about things that are important to me and enjoyable. I love get ready with me's and reviews, and those are pretty much the types of things that I think I'm pretty good at doing my videos. So those are what you're going to see from me. And then lifestyle, which is anything vlog, get to know me, story times, planning videos, organizing, cleaning, things that are more my life, helpful tips, tricks, hints, whatever. My channel, I want to be a place where you can go and you can kind of like get big sister advice. And you know how you had those home ec classes in high school, at least in the States? I want that to be this channel, and I mean in the best way possible. Like, I want you to come here and hopefully be able to find some kind of piece of something. So if you want to learn how to cook better, I want you to come here. If you want to learn how to make a recipe, a copycat recipe from another restaurant, that's a series that I'm going to do. If you want to learn how to avoid triggers and some tools in anxiety and depression, I hope that some of my tips and things that I do will help you. If you want to learn how to be a better reader, I want you to come here because I am going to give you tools for that. Like, I want you to hear music and books that have helped me. I want you to hear about my planning strategies and my cleaning strategies and things that I do. I also want it to be entertaining because not everything in life is so serious. Not every day should you be waking up and being like, okay, how much crap can I get done and not enjoy any aspect of your life? I want you to come here and learn something and have a takeaway from every video, but I also really want you to enjoy life. I want you to kind of get a feel for, like, you can do anything. You can have multiple hobbies. You can do things that you like that aren't so niched down. It's okay to like multiple things. I like makeup, I like cooking, I like traveling, I like music, I like spending time with my friends and my family. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. And this is the place that I kind of want to, like, just gross analogy, but projectile vomit about everywhere on my platform. Life is supposed to be fun. There shouldn't be one way to do everything. I really want this channel to be something important for you guys, to have a fun place to go to learn, to have a fun place to go to kind of get away from reality, and just have a good place to get information and some entertainment. Like this video, Mondays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a brand new video. Every other week, twice a month, you'll get a brand new video from me, Syanne. Which I guess something I didn't do. Hi, my name is Syanne. If you are new to this channel, I will be posting and changing my schedule of content. I will do a video eventually kind of getting to know me, some facts about me and everything. I do have an Instagram page if you want to go follow that. It is the Life of Sai. I'll leave it linked down below in my description box. Please go follow me. I would love to get to know you. I don't post a ton there, but there are some things They're already makeup related, mental health related, get to know me related, travel related, and all of that good stuff. So I will be posting there more as soon as I get this channel stuff underway and under control. But yeah, welcome. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty of this video, and that is the not so glamorous topic about my diagnosis of my depression and anxiety and how I started my healing journey. Again, I'm just going to throw out the disclaimer. I know my anxiety and depression is not as severe as others. I will say, don't discredit the anxiety and depression that you do have, or any mental health disorder, because yours is just as important as the low guy on the totem pole to the most severe case. You're not any less important. That is something that I learned in therapy, which I will get to at the end. Don't discredit your struggles. Don't discredit your journey. Don't discredit the hardships that you go through. They're not any less important than anybody else's. Backstory. What led to my depression and anxiety? I do have notes in front of me. There's a lot I want to talk about. So if I keep looking over to the side over here and I keep looking over here, it's because my notes are in front of me, my tablet's in front of me here, my mirror is in front of me here. Just be aware. So I was severely unhappy with the trajectory of my life, where my life was going. This was a very few years ago. I would say 2020, 21. In every facet of the word, you know, my job, my home life, my relationships with people. I was in a pretty stressful relationship, I would say. It wasn't toxic, but I think we were toxic in some ways to each other. We were just not communicating the way that we should have been, and we really just didn't know what we wanted. We were young. We were, you know, 20s, early 20s. I am currently 24 years old, so I'm talking in past tense, but this was just, you know, about 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago. I was out on my own with my now ex. We had our first apartment together. We were navigating that life. We were navigating each other and living together. I was navigating a new job on top of those responsibilities, trying to be young and have fun still, and also just extremely insecure about everything. And not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wasn't happy with my job. At a certain point, I knew I wasn't happy with who I was as a person and what I was doing and where I was going. And I was also so obsessed with this lifestyle that I would eventually have. And that lifestyle was going to be married with kids. That is something that even to this day, I seriously want. I want to be married. I want to have children. But I was obsessed with it back then. To the point where I was so extremely jealous and envious of others in my life obtaining those things. And I'm talking like people that are way more financially established, way more secure, and even ones that weren't. Like, I had, you know, people that I grew up with, I was so envious of, and I still am in some aspects. It's definitely something that I'm currently still working on, but I just wanted to be a wife and a mom so bad. I was so in love, and I thought I was going in the right direction with my life, and I just wasn't focusing on I was thinking that those good things were going to make all of the bad go away. No, that just pancakes on top of each other. I was fighting this philosophy of your biological clock. It's a real thing for a woman. Like, I'm 24 now. I know a lot of people that have had kids or are starting families or getting married or anything, and like, that is such a real thing. And I think that's a societal thing, but just like your body, like, there's a certain point in time, like, I'm gonna not be able to have kids at a certain point in time. And I want that. My breaking point was when my ex and I broke up. We broke up in September of 2021, and I just felt like my life was crumbling. Like I was even further from what the things I wanted, my dreams, my ambitions, being a wife and a mother, taking steps backwards. I was moving back in with my parents. I was not going in the direction that I thought I was going to be going in. And I was not only grieving a loss of a relationship. I lost my best friend, I lost my boyfriend, I lost my home, I lost kind of my identity. And I like did not know where to go from there. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know anything. I had never been through a breakup before, not to that magnitude. And so it was just like my life flipped upside down. And the biggest thing was I was stuck emotionally, physically, in every aspect of my life. So when we were at the high of, we moved out, we moved in together, I felt like I was stuck in this weird, like, okay, what's next? Like, all right, time to get engaged. I was stuck with my job. I was stuck with this relationship. I was stuck back here in my childhood home, my childhood bedroom, like all of these things. I just was like, oh my God, I'm taking steps backwards. And I was not happy. When I realized that there was a problem was when I started distancing myself, disconnecting from my family and friends, just distancing from social situations. I was getting a lot more anxious and nervous around certain people. I didn't want to be around certain people. I did everything that I could to kind of avoid certain situations. I was getting a lot more arguments with my family, mainly my mom, who is my best friend. Like, I go to that woman for everything. Actually, this morning, we literally just got back a few hours ago from having breakfast and catching up. And we live together. But I was arguing with my mom, and we had this big blowout about a year ago now. And I realized I was doing all of these things, and I was being such a horrible human being. I was being such a brat. I started hurting the people that were hurting for me through this breakup and through this transitional change and like all of these things that were happening. I was hurting them, and that hurt me even more. I went to my first primary care establishment appointment with a new doctor, and I knew at that appointment you would, of course, do the typical mental health questionnaire. And I was ready. I was ready to answer the questions honestly. I was ready to kind of hear like where I would be on the spectrum. My best friend had told me that she thought I was depressed months prior to this, and I was in denial. No, I'm not. I have this under control. Finally, I was like, I think I'm depressed. I went to that doctor's appointment, and I did the questionnaire with her, and I was diagnosed with mild depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. That was in April 18th of 2022. It wasn't easy for me to hear. Like, I knew it, but it's different to hear it from a doctor. I never thought I would be depressed. Like, your life is so great. Like, you had a great childhood. You can't be depressed. That doesn't equate to anything. Just because you had a good childhood doesn't mean that you're going to have a good adulthood or know how to handle things or work with your emotions. Like, nobody's taught those things. I was in denial. I was given a reference to a counselor through a program that my doctor's office had. It was called the Collaborative Care Program. I was given this reference, and because I was in denial, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it. I was also asked if I wanted to be put on medication. I'm not the medication route. It's something that I've taken really good care of trying to like handle things on my own. And I really didn't want to go that route yet. If I was severely depressed, I might think about it. But medication is just not something for me. If you take medication and it works wonderfully for you, then that's great. It's just not my avenue. So I was given that reference. I did not reach out right away. I probably was like a week or so before I reached out. And the only reason I did was because I was having extremely bad depressive episodes. I was crying all the time at work, driving to work, driving home from work, home. I was sleeping all the time. I was feeling alone. It was getting bad, and I was scaring myself. So I finally contacted the program, and I had my very first therapy session on April 28th. So 10 days later. So it was fairly quick. It was fairly quick. I did not do it right away. The things that I've learned in therapy, guys, I was never the therapy person. I never went to counselors as a kid. I never wanted to talk to anybody other than my mom. And there's just a point that you need a third party impartial person and perspective. And it's so important. I am a huge advocate of therapy. I think it is amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend if you are going to get into therapy to do it. Try it out. It's not for everybody. It's also, you really need to find the right doctor. If you're not jamming well, then it's just not going to work out. And that's okay. It doesn't work out for everybody. But I love therapy. Some of the things that I learned about myself in therapy is, and this is over many sessions. I had 8 altogether with that therapist. I'm currently no longer seeing them. That program has been dissolved. I'm in between therapists right now. I'm currently searching for a new one. I learned something on my own. I'm a very self-aware person, which is a good thing. I learned that I have a fear of abandonment and feeling undesirable. It stems from I have abandonment issues with my biological father. He is not in my life. He's never been in my life. I have come to terms with that. Like, I've worked through that. It's not a problem. My fear of abandonment was linked back to my biological father and not feeling wanted by him or just people in general. Now it's, it's friendships, it's new relationships, it's boyfriends, it's dating, it's all of those things. And I realized, like, this is a problem. We need to work through this. How do I work through this? It's never my immediate family. Like, my family, I don't feel that way whatsoever. I have really good relationships with my mom and my stepdad and my grandparents, and like those people in my family, my extended family even, like, I feel extremely close with. It's always been friendships. It's always been my friendships and like my ex, honestly. I'm not an ex basher either. And I'm sure maybe at some point he or maybe even his family will see these videos, and I have nothing but respect for all of them, and I will never talk bad. There was a lot of good in that relationship, and I met some really amazing people out of it. So, I don't wish him any ill will. Like, our last conversation was really good, I think. So, but I'm sure he does, as much as I do, have a lot of traumas and triggers that came out of it. Things that we don't like, and things that we have problems with and are taking into new relationships of any kind, friendships, romantic. And that's my big one, is just feeling undesirable. Something else that I learned and I noticed is recently, actually, is I've noticed that anytime I have a really bad anxiety day, I will put myself to bed really early. So like, actually, this is getting uploaded on March 6th. It's currently February 18th, 19th. So I'm filming this way ahead of time. But just the other day, I was having a really bad anxiety day. I had a couple this week. So there's an insight onto where I am currently. But I had really bad anxiety, and I've noticed the last few times that I've done it, I've just put myself to bed really early. I'll eat dinner, I'll go to bed, and I do that because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt my family. I don't want to like snap or be short with them. I don't want myself to like implode and react in a hasteful manner and be mean or rude to them, hurt their feelings. So I just put myself to bed really early. And anxiety, I don't know if anybody else feels like this. Anxiety is exhausting. Being anxious is fucking exhausting. And I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. So it's much easier to just go to bed. And the other night I slept like 10 to 12 hours. I went to bed at like 6:30. And I woke up at 9:30. I texted my friend for a little bit. Went back to sleep for like an hour. Woke up at like 11:30. Texted him again for a little bit. And then I went back to sleep. And I slept until 6 or 6:30 the next morning. I was still really anxious that day, but I felt better. I felt more rested. I felt like I kind of like had myself together a little bit more and was able to like have conversation. But the next day, typically, next day or the next few days, which was definitely like today, yesterday and today, after I've rested for that much of time, I'm feeling better emotionally, mentally. All I want to do is talk. All I want to do is work through it. And because I'm not currently seeing a therapist, I use my family as that a lot. I kind of like lean on them to go through those things with me. All I want to do is talk about what happened, why I was there, why I got there, and then how I was able to kind of work through it. I could talk their ears off for hours and hours. I'm a huge talker. I have a YouTube channel. That's why I have this outlet. But I do tend to do that. Like the next few days, like I'll just like talk. And it is kind of like one of my coping mechanisms, my things that I do. So what are some triggers that I have? Triggers that I have and have had. I'm a super empathetic person, so I can easily allow other people's opinions or their moods and their problems to affect me physically and mentally. I most of the time, like if I walk into work, I can automatically tell somebody is not feeling great because I can feel like, ooh, I'll look at so-and-so and be like, oh, it's you. Like you are a little bit more anxious today, or you're a little bit more sad, or you're angry. And like, I usually take that like, and I swallow it and I empathize with it. And I'm like kind of a little bit moodier too. I can automatically feel the heaviness in the room and I become heavy. Like for example, my friend is upset about something and they're telling me about it, venting to me about it. I will empathize or sympathize with them as much as I can. I will automatically take how they're feeling and I'll be like, oh my God, yeah, I was there once. Like I know how that feels. Or my anxiety will take over, my overthinking will take over and be like, oh my God, well, I can only imagine if this were the solution, or like, you know, this could be the scenario, this could happen, this could happen, this could not happen. And then I kind of go into like, oh, well, how am I going to support them through this? And how can I fix it? Like I want to fix it because I care about them. But not only am I trying to like help them and help them deal with their emotions, but my own at this point. And it almost like it happened to me. It didn't, but that's how my empathy works, which is beautiful because it will spark a downward spiral. I will spiral into thinking of all of the decisions I've ever made in my life. Like, you know, if it's a work problem, I will go into that. Like it'll just open the floodgates to however I'm feeling, or maybe not. I could be in a beautiful mood. I could be in a great mood my best friend tell me something that happened, and I will like, oh, well, I'll be sad, and then I will spiral and be like, why did I make that decision when I was 14 to do that? Why did I decide to go and say this to that person? Why didn't I take this opportunity? And I don't actually mean any of those things. Like, those are so repressed feelings and like things that I have worked on, but they're easily brought up because of my anxiety. It's rough. Like, sometimes I can go for days, and that's how it was this week. I just went for days and days and days of like overthinking. So that's fun. So I was using other people's problems and focusing on their lives to avoid my own issues. I noticed that I did that for a minute too. I would pretty much fixate on their lives and, help them as much as I could. And then I would get so exhausted mentally and physically because I wasn't focusing on myself. I wasn't focusing on my issues. And this was like a year ago. Even 9 months ago, I was like this. I would hyperfixate on their lives, and I wasn't working on myself. I am now currently, I have taken a complete step backward in or step back in focusing on what's best for me, putting myself first. I have to take care of myself before I can take care of anybody else. That is something that I have always said. Like, you can't take care of yourself you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself. That's something that I wholeheartedly stand by. So I definitely have readjusted my viewpoints on, like, do I work on my mental health? Like, do I do this thing that's going to help me first, or do I help that person? I'm sorry, but I have to help myself first. Or depending on the situation, if it's dire, if it's emergencies, of course I'll do that. But I can usually snap into emergency mode, and I'm pretty good. Something that I have said for a while is I'm going to be dealing with my anxiety and depression for the rest of my life. I'm 24. I'm going to have this when I'm 94. I'm going to have this through marriage and children and my 40s and 50s and when I turn 75 and when I'm 100. I am always going to have this. My triggers might change. They might evolve or go away. I might finally work through my abandonment and undesirable issues, but it might spiral into a new thing. I might be anxious about motherhood. I might be anxious about getting older, my kids moving away, my family passing away. Like, I will always have those things. It's just going to evolve. My anxiety is the worst. That runs my life more than my depression does. My anxiety sparks my depression. They usually go hand in hand. There's actually a thing that I listen to quite often. It was from a TED Talk, I believe. I will share it on my Instagram. It's profound that, like, the two go together and they like egg each other on, and it is so true. I'm currently in search of a new therapist. I'm going to actually reach out this week because I haven't heard anything yet, and I'm kind of itching to get more information from them. But in the meantime, I'm using tools from my previous therapist to get me through emotional problems and situations. I'm leaning on my family and my friends. I am recognizing my triggers. I am constantly recognizing where I'm at. I really try to put myself first and do a lot of self-care. That is something that's huge. Find your thing that helps you through. If it's working out, if it's reading, journaling, talking, traveling, whatever it may be, like, find your thing that really makes you happy. And the biggest thing for me is giving myself grace. Focusing on myself, finding and keeping my happiness. There's a lot of great things going on in my life right now, and I'm trying to focus on those and trying to work and better my channel and my life and just, like, be there for myself and be present. And those are the biggest things that I can offer up to you, is just find something that you really enjoy, or go back to something that you really enjoy. It could be physically, it could be spiritually, it could be mentally. Like, whatever you need to do it for yourself and your soul. Keep yourself happy. I've always been like, one day at a time. I actually do one moment at a time, because I can tell you this topic is actually going to make me a little bit heavier right now. Like, I already feel like a switch in my mental state right now, just because it's a lot of, like, reminiscing. And I will say, outlining this video, I was that way too that day. I ended up having to like read for a little bit and like get my mind off of things. But I do moment by moment, because there's, right now I could feel great. In 2 hours, I could have an episode. So it's really just like working through each moment in time. So that is my journey. That has been my diagnosis and what led up to it and where I am currently. And of course, that was a fast track way of talking about it. If you guys have any questions about my own, what things that I've learned, you want to know more, please, please, please ask me. Comments will, of course, be allowed down below. Just keep them nice. I want to answer your questions. I would love to do another video like this, like a Q&A style thing. So if you do have questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Message me on Instagram and ask if you have anything, if you have any questions, or, how did you get through this, or, whatever. I would love to answer them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around. This was a lengthier video, and I hope you enjoyed kind of like getting to know me. This is a really personable side to me, vulnerable, and but I love talking about it because it is me. I am a very anxious person, and I love talking about my anxiety, depression. It gives me a lot of power and control over it. So if you guys do have any questions, let me know. Also, if you want to see anything in particular with the new themed content, make sure you let me know down below and by messaging me on Instagram as well. Go follow me over there. All of my information and the products that I use today are listed down below. And yeah, I'm really excited, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you subscribe and you stick along and you see me in 2 weeks. And until then, have a wonderful life. I will see you very soon. And thank you guys so much. Thanks, guys. Bye.